Female officers from Surrey Police went running during the rush hour to expose how frequently women were harassed while they were exercising in public, with specialist units close by to intervene if necessary. Here's one officer explaining why she thinks the scheme is important.
What happens if I do get catcalled? Quite uncomfortable. So I think it's important to experience it. So I feel cardio done. What happens if I do get catcalled? Quite uncomfortable. So I think it's important to experience it. So I feel.
It does seem quite remarkable to me at any rate. This month-long trial led to 18 arrests for offences which included harassment, sexual assault. Legislation has been put in place to make sex-based harassment punishable by up to 2 years in jail and make things like catcalling a specific offence. But critics, like the Free Speech Union, have condemned this police scheme, telling officers to stop hunting pre-crimes. In other words, stop trying to track down crimes that haven't even happened yet. We'll start with you, Nicola. What do you think about this one?
I mean, I know that people watching will probably say that it's unnecessary, but for me, I totally disagree. I think that women are not safe. We're not safe, and we can see that. We can see that in the crimes against women. And personally, it's so offensive, embarrassing to be walking down the street and to be catcalled. And I think it's a good thing. It shouldn't be allowed, and it should be stopped. And if this is a way to, prevent people from doing it, I'm all for it.
And the idea that, it may not be nice, you may not love it, you may not think, oh, that was the best moment of my life as I walked past that building site or whatever it is, but they're not physically hurting you, they're not running after you, they're not touching you, attacking you. OK, you may not love it, but you walk on by and carry on with your day. That's not a thing for you?
We shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to. And, it's like putting up with things that you don't like just because a man can't stop himself. I'm not for that. And I think that everything leads on to something. The police are saying if you get flashed, call us, because it can lead on to something. But then nothing gets done about these things, that sexual assault and rape crimes. I mean, I know it's extreme from catcalling, but I just think it all leads on. Even getting that to court is completely impossible. So for me, I think that it needs to be nipped in the bud. And why should I feel awkward to walk past a building site? I cross over the road. I deviate from my route so that I don't have to be subjected to that. And I don't think that's fair.
What do you think, Carrie?
I think two things. I think it will be a great deterrent because the catcalling people won't know who are the police and who aren't. So I think that just puts out a message that is really positive. But secondly, we're talking about these bigger crimes that can happen. If you are running along, how do you know that there aren't bigger crimes that are about to happen? You don't. You get catcalled and you don't know where that's going to end up. So
what do you mean? What are you thinking of, for example?
I might be assaulted. That person might flash at me. That might lead to something more for that person. I don't know, but in my head, I'm worried about that. So actually just going on a jog, it's not as simple as going, oh, they're only catcalling, it's fine, it's quite a compliment. But that's what some people would say.
May I ask you both, though? When we were at school, I don't know what it was like at your school, but we had a sort of playground lady that kind of promenaded around the playground just to make sure there was no bullying and there was no name calling and nobody was left out and everyone was OK. The playground lady that walked around and around. But when you're a grown-up, you can't expect, can you, to have police officers behaving like the playground lady, making sure no one calls out anything you don't like, says anything you might not fancy, whistles at you. Isn't that the kind of thing that when you're an adult, you're meant to be grown up enough to negotiate by yourself without someone holding your hand, without people pretending they're not police officers and pretending to jog in the rush hour?
But I also feel like men should be grown up to realise that most women do not want to feel like this. We don't want to be catcalled. We don't want the embarrassment. We don't want the, as you say, the fear. I have to worry about going out at night. So if I'm going to meet my husband somewhere, do I get the tube or do I get a cab? Because being on my own at night doesn't feel safe. That's not fair. It's not right. Why should I put up with it? You shouldn't.
But also we're looking for bobbies on the beat just to make sure that people aren't burgled. We're going to be talking about shoplifting later on in the programme. There's an awful lot of crime going down, people having their mobile phones stolen and they are snatched from their hands and some of them are knocked over, all that sort of thing. Albie, this is catcalling. They're just shouting. They're not hurting, hitting, touching.
Look, I don't want to denigrate the experiences that women go through every day with catcalling and sexual assault and all of the things that catcalling can lead to. But I'm just a little bit concerned about whether or not this is the best use of police time, and actually if this is the best way that we actually stop the bad behaviour that we don't want to see. You know, of course it's wrong that people catcall, but is it right that the police intervene on that sort of issue? Is it more useful if this is police within society? Men saying to other men it's not okay to catcall, women telling their male children, I think you've both got sons, you've certainly got a grandson, saying, look, son, grandson, it's not all right to do this to a woman because this is how it makes me feel. That's how I was brought up. I would never catcall a woman, not just because I'm gay, but because it's totally wrong. I wouldn't catcall a man, for that matter, because it's unwanted. So I just don't know, in this world where we're having so many other issues with crime, if this is the best use of police time.
Before we get terribly, terribly serious about this, I must tell you that only, I don't know how many shows ago, not very many, we talked about wolf whistling. And I think the full complement of panellists on my sofa said, oh, I loved it when I got wolf. I miss it terribly. You know, now I'm so old, no one even notices me.
There is a generation, for sure. My mother would have definitely said that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it when the boys whistle at me. That was definitely that generation.
Yeah.
This generation of women think differently. We don't want to be catcalled.
100%. Yeah.
But is there a concern that we're making it also very difficult for men to even approach women for romantic reasons?
Catcalling is not romantic.
But I'm not talking. I'm not just talking. Just in general, I almost feel like we're moving to a space where if you approach someone publicly and proposition them, that is almost seen as something you shouldn't do because it might be sexual assault.
I think it all depends how you approach someone. I mean, I'm married. Men can come and talk to me. I don't mind. If I'm at a bar and someone wants to come and have a chat, I've got no problem. If they're approaching me respectfully and we're having a nice conversation, that's absolutely fine. So it all depends. As you say, I've got sons. I'm bringing them up to know how to approach people because that's the correct way to do it. But not everyone does that. I mean, you know, I'm sure all three women here have been subjected to men treating us appallingly. And I'm sorry, I'm not willing to put up with it anymore. It's just, you know, I don't want to be wolf whistled at. I don't want to be spoken to in, you know, a disrespectful way. And I definitely fed into men. I was a page 3 girl back in the day. I definitely fed into that, and I'm aware of that, and I'm trying to change it.
Can I ask, do you respond if it happens to you now? Do you turn round and say, mate, do you get cross? What do you do?
Yeah, I can't
swear
say
on the
it.
telly,
yeah,
but do you swear?
Yeah.
And what do they do when you do?
Well, they get embarrassed.
They look embarrassed.
Yeah, they look embarrassed, and
Right.
it's, you know, and I would expect if I was, you know, if my son was walking down the street with a female friend and someone did it, I'd hope that. But then you say, you know, men telling other men, you don't know how that man will respond to that man.
I've been in a situation where I was with my sister. We were walking back from the gym. We were in our gym clothes, and we walked past a bar on our way back home. And these men started catcalling my sister. Literally followed us down the road, despite the fact me and my sister looked very like it was quite obvious we were related. I was telling them, you know, in quite non-uncertain terms, to go away. And they followed us all the way down the road. And I don't know in that situation whether or not those men weren't scared of me. I don't know if they would be scared of the law.
Were you scared?
No, I wasn't scared.
Was she scared?
Yes, she probably was. She
What
would
do
have
you
been more
think
scared if I wasn't there.
What do you think was their objective? I mean, they weren't going to
I've
kidnap
no idea.
her. They weren't
I thought
going
it was
to. What were they trying to do with her?
I think they were trying to express the fact that they found her attractive. But in that situation, I thought to myself, what is wrong with these men?
But Albie, in that situation, would you not have liked to? Would you not have liked a police officer in that moment to step in and say, "This is wrong"?
I think there's a difference between a police officer stepping in and saying, this is wrong in that particular moment, a police officer in their uniform. They might not have done that in the first place. What I object to are using police resources for people to go undercover, almost inviting being catcalled in that specific situation, and then trying to catch them in a pre-crime.
But why inviting?
Well, because they're going undercover in order to catch crime.
So they're going out in their gym clothes, but that's the point, isn't it? You can't even walk down the street in your gym clothes.
And that's totally wrong. But
you're not inviting
My
it.
issue, what I would prefer is if there were more police officers in uniform patrolling the streets so that people didn't behave that way in the first
place. So would everyone.
place.
I would be astounded if anybody would like to see be fewer police officers. I think everybody would feel reassured by a police presence. And certainly every time in my entire career I've ever interviewed a candidate for anything, a mayoral candidate, an MP, someone who wants to be in Parliament, all they ever promise are more bobbies on the beat, because they know everyone wants that.
Are we
It's the biggest
saying
promise.
that all this big team of people that go out can only deal with catcalling at that point?
Yeah.
Surely, if there's other crime going on, they are already on the street
All
and
right,
they are
let's
there.
go to the phones, because David's on the line in Surrey. David, how do you feel about these police officers running to see whether they're going to get catcalled or not? Do you think that's a good use of police resources?
Well, it depends, really. I mean, I'm not even quite sure what a catcall is. Is that a wolf whistle?
Well, a wolf whistle, or it's something a bit ruder that they might shout out after you. I remember when it happened to me once,
Yeah.
and it went. What they shouted from a bit of scaffolding was, "They're tasty, tasty, very, very." And I assume they mean my boobs. I don't know what it was, but you know. And you
Yeah.
try walking in a dignified way when somebody's yelling
Well,
that at
they're
you from
probably
a
talking
scaffolding.
about
It's
your
not
food.
easy, I must say.
Well, it happened to my wife when she was in her 70s. I mean, she's quite slim, and she likes to emphasise the fact that when it happened, it was from behind.
Right.
But anyway, that's just her joke. But basically, she just carried on walking, and the guy was in a lorry, so he just carried on driving. I mean, I'm 81 years of age, and I remember this from an early age. When I was a teenager, when I was in my 20s, it happened then. And it was treated slightly differently then, because women used to, I mean, I've never seen, what do they expect when a bloke whistles after it? Was he expecting her to turn around and say, well, I was on my way to work, but now that you've whistled, I think we'd better go for a coffee. You know, he's not going to get a reaction, is he? He's just going to whistle and look an idiot, and that's what he is.
I mean, I
Basically,
think
he's
a
an
coffee is a very charming and genteel way of putting it, David.
Yeah,
But I also think that they can't seriously believe that a woman will, as you quite rightly say, stop going to work or stop going off to pick her children up from childcare, turn around and cop off with the guy that's shouting something obscene from the scaffolding. You're absolutely right. What is their method in this? And if their motivation really is just to say it, then they're not really plotting anything sinister. They're just saying it. So is the sinister thing the
When it
saying
gets
of
more
it?
serious,
Yeah.
well, when it gets more serious, it's a different proposition, because, as I said, when it was in the 60s, I mean, girls wore mini skirts, which was lovely. We all had a look. But we didn't wolf whistle. I don't remember any of my friends ever wolf whistling or shouting after a woman or hello, darling, or anything. I don't remember it. Not that we were angels. We certainly weren't. But
Clearly.
I didn't remember the same kind of reaction. Women now are more inclined to be scared if somebody does something like that, because more of
There's
it
a reason
happens.
for that,
Yeah,
though, isn't
and
there?
I really wish that guys realised how much women tolerate, how much we might just go, and inside we're dying. Inside we're like, really? You're just irritating. I wish that some guys knew that and had a radar for that. That would be so helpful.
Hi, Moira. Good of you to call.
Hello there.
Hello. What do you feel about this one?
Well, I feel that it's things that have just gotten terribly out of hand. I mean, this catcalling has been going on for years and years. And when I was a young girl, to be honest with you, if one of the chaps from the building site had wolf whistled you, you were, in a way, you were quite flattered.
Yeah.
And because you knew nothing more would come of it. And it was just one of those things. In fact, I'd say the day the catcalling stopped, you knew you were getting past it. So you didn't go past that building anymore.
Moira, that's what Carrie said about her mum. She said her mum would have said exactly the same thing. So do you feel it's a generational change, Moira, that younger people are more sensitive to it, more upset by it?
Yes, I do. But I think they've become totally insensitive, or rather...
Oversensitive.
They've become totally sensitive. Yes, they have.
Right,
I mean,
and
you can't
I'm not.
really do anything these
And you
days.
see, Nicola would really disagree with you, wouldn't you?
I mean, I'm far from oversensitive, you know, and I just know what I will and won't put up with. I don't want to walk down the street and be shouted at. I don't want a man to comment on my body unsolicited. That's not oversensitive. That's putting boundaries in place that say, you know, you're not entitled to just have an opinion on me because you think I look nice.
And Moira, do you think that's wrong? Or do you think women have sort of evolved and women have decided to find their voice and say, just stop it, I wouldn't shout at you and don't you shout at me?
No, that is being totally over-insensitive, yes.
Oversensitive.
It's silly.
And so you
Things
think...
have gone wrong. The police have got much more important things to do. than to worry about this.
So you think if a man shouts obscenities at me down the street, me having a problem with it is oversensitive?
No, you're using the wrong word when you say obscenity. It is not an obscenity for them to ring and say, hello, darling, good legs, or something like that. That is not an insensitive remark.
Well, I don't mind being called darling, but you know what? I don't want a man to tell me I've got nice legs unsolicited. It's not oversensitive.
Let's go to Shirley. No. Thank you, Moira, very much. Good to hear from you, and thank you. Let's go to Shirley in Devon, who also has a view on this. Shirley, how do you feel about it?
Entirely agree with the previous caller.
With Moira, right.
I think Nicola wants to be lucky she got a body at the moment. I'm 90 this week, and I used to push my son in the pushchair when they were building Debenhams. And if I didn't get a wolf whistle, as we called them in those days, I would be quite upset. And I think it is absolutely ridiculous. She won't always... She'll be one day when she'll be glad if somebody said she's beautiful. But I worked in a boatyard when I was in married quarters with my husband. And there was 200 men and 3 women. And so, I mean, you were always being told, hello, my beauty, and all this and that. It's gone right over the top now. They're afraid to say anything. I still love a compliment.
I mean, it's lovely to hear your view, and so many people say the same. I think Eve Pollard said it on the sofa the other day. Lots of people feel very strongly that when you don't get it anymore, you miss it. That it's a kind of normal form of male attention. And Chrissy said if they didn't wolf whistle at her, she didn't like it. She thought, what's wrong with me today? I don't look attractive. Oh no!
But I think there is a very big difference between someone complimenting you and someone objectifying you. I think those two things are separate. I think if someone says, oh, you look lovely, you're really beautiful, what lovely dress you have or whatever, that's lovely. But if someone is just going to talk about my legs or my breasts, I'm not interested. I'm not here for that. I think that's objectification. That's slightly different to someone just giving you a straight up compliment.
Totally agree.
All right, let's take the last guy. I think we've got one more caller on this. I think is it Christine? Hi, Christine. Hello? Oh, she's dropped off the line. No, it doesn't matter. Albie, you're listening to this.
I just wonder, is there a way that someone could say as a compliment, oh, your legs look really good in those trousers, or something like that wouldn't be taken as some sort of obscenity?
If you know me, that might be okay. Because I might go, oh my gosh, that top looks great. Have you been working out? That's a different kind of compliment because we've met each other a few times. But if I had just met you and you said something like that to me, I would think, I'm not so comfortable with that. That would be my response.
Yeah, I agree.
But is it for the police to police people being comfortable with certain comments?
It's about safety. Women running on the streets, running through woods, you already are on hyper-vigilant alert anyway. So when those moments happen, you just don't know where it's going to lead. So that would make me feel safer to know the police have been out here. These people know that I might be a policeman, so they are not going to do that to me now.
All right,
I think it's a deterrent.
Let's move on, because it's very interesting and very polarising, and I wonder if it's a generational thing. I also wonder whether the sorts of things that men shout and call and the sorts of ways they whistle have changed. Whether they used to be more friendly, people knew people in their neighbourhood, it didn't feel so menacing. Maybe it's just the kind of atmosphere that may have changed. I don't know, because you can certainly see it's split, isn't it? The older women just say, oh, it used to be great, and younger women are absolutely horrified. I know my own 2 daughters, I asked them in quite a jovial way, you know, oh, well, you know, all this catcalling, wolf whistling, and they were both horrified.